Okay, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Barbara. I'm the State Data Coordinator with the Connecticut State Library, Division of Library Development, and I'm going to talk to you today about the fiscal year 2024 annual report. And we've got a lot of content to cover, so like I said, I'll be starting now and moving through as much as I can. I'm going to focus primarily today's session on the new platform. I'll spend probably the majority of time on that. Although, of course, I will talk about I'll set the stage by doing the importance of why we fill out the report form, some of the differences between maybe what you do and what we do, in meaning of collecting stats, changes to this year's report, and then we'll head into the platform. Feel free to drop in chat questions as they come to you. I will make time and pause to take questions as well. So, but if they're coming up, we'll get to them. You can just pop them in the chat as you think of them. And yeah, I think that's where we are for housekeeping. I'm sure there's some folks on the call who might be brand new to this. There also might be folks who've done this a lot. But either way, we're all kind of newbies this year because we're using a new platform. So, and I'll say this a number of times during the presentation, but I'm going to start it by saying it right now, that the platform, because it's new, there are definitely little bugs or things you might notice that aren't working the way you thought or how it should. And so I'm encouraging folks, and people have been doing this, and I really appreciate it, reaching out to me and letting me know what you see or if anything looks off, and we're making those corrections as we get them. And so please continue to do that if you're on this call and you've already started your report and you've been doing that, or as you start and go, if you see anything, please reach out to me. It's definitely a work in progress, but I think you'll see this will be something that will make ultimately your life a little easier with filling out this report. And I think it will make our data stronger and be able to put out a great statistical profile everyone can use. Okay, so with that said, why do we fill out the form? We do this mostly because of the IMLS, which is the Institute of Museum and Library Services. The folks on the national level ask for us to send statistics on how the public libraries in each of our states are meeting community needs through programming, information services, etc. each year. So that's where lots of those questions stem from on the report. That's one of the main reasons. But we also do it because we want to track data trends in Connecticut public libraries all over the state. And it helps us think through grant opportunities, helps you apply for grants. And then on a local level, it's great for you in terms of strategic planning. You can do some comparisons with peer institutions. Could be a great advocacy tool for you to talk to folks in your community, et cetera, et cetera. There's lots of good ways to use the data. And for those of you who've done this over the years, I'm sure you've found it very useful.
Okay.
So, and also because, without these submissions each year, we wouldn't really know what's going on in your libraries. And we wouldn't know how your library enriches the community unless it's communicated to us. So with these reports, we find out quite a bit about what's going on, and it's really cool to see what libraries are doing. From a technical standpoint, it's a requirement for your Borrow-It funding. To receive your Borrow-It funding, we need the annual report complete, as well as the state aid grants, which are given out to all principal public libraries. I'll mention that a little bit later in the presentation as well. So I know this is a huge effort each year for you to collect this data, but it's important and we really appreciate you doing that. So as mentioned, just to think of versus our kind of state annual report versus what you might do at your library, we send this to the IMLS, as I mentioned. We do, and those questions are a shared question with other libraries across the nation. So there are tools that we create and the IMLS creates, so you can do some comparisons across states. And then, of course, we add questions or each year that are more state oriented. And that's kind of how the data gets pushed out. Whereas, with you might create reports that are specific to your library, based probably on the same data, but maybe packaged a little differently that tells your story. So let's go back for a minute. There are a few changes from the report this year, a couple from IMLS and a couple from us. Quite a few are yes/no questions, so shouldn't be too time consuming to do. IMLS has created a group of questions that ask about ebooks, e-audio, e-video, research databases, and online learning platforms, on whether you provide them at your local level, at your library, the local level, the consortium level, or the state library or other state agency. The beauty of these kinds of questions is once you answer this year, we'll have kind of a benchmark, and I'll probably be able to transfer those over for the future. So you just have to make corrections as they happen. The other big change from IMLS is that ebooks and e-magazines are no longer counted together for circulation. So there are two separate questions. You'll notice in this case that you won't see previous year data when you're filling out the questions. That's because these are new questions, but what will happen going forward when we're creating reports, and that's the next phase of this platform for us, is that data will be able to be mirrored with previous year data. With the caveat, though, that in terms of e-magazines, there's not exactly like the same thing. So we'll have to figure out how that'll look, but they've split up that number now. From Connecticut State Library, we've added a number of yes/no questions on accessibility topics. You'll see those sprinkled throughout the survey. We're trying to get a better sense of how libraries are handling different types of accessibility. So those questions, we will definitely appreciate your responses on those. The collection development policies, there is a question that asks about your up-to-date collection development policy. I think just about every Connecticut State Library principal for sure have had those updated in the last year, as it was a requirement that came through, and that's how you get the state aid grant. So those questions are just yes, no's that will be on the report each year. It'll ask if you have one on file with the Connecticut State Library. And then there's a second question that asks if you updated it in the past year, and if so, did you send it into the Connecticut State Library? So that's the collection development policy piece, and how it ties to state aid grants. Let's see. Okay, so we did have a few questions removed. We're no longer asking about reference services via internet and telephone. I think it was a yes/no question in the section 6, which is at the bottom of the slide I mentioned, is now exclusively social justice, equity, diversity, inclusion, and accessibility questions. We also are no longer asking about statistics of your library patron use of subscription databases. That's because IMLS isn't asking for that number anymore, so we're no longer asking for that. And we're also not asking for library website visits during the fiscal year. So those questions will no longer be on the report. Any questions at this time? I'll just take a pause if anyone has anything so far.
Yes. Hi, Barbara. There was one question just came through. Do we include magazine circulation in with our book count?
Oh, the print magazines? Is that, if that's what you mean, yeah. So print magazines are now, they don't have their own, they're not their own classification anymore. So actually they're under other circulation, other material circulation. So you'll see that. And if we have time, I can even look and show you that in the survey. in the report survey. So yeah, IMLS isn't asking for print magazine statistics separately anymore.
That's all we have in the chat so far.
Great. Okay. Onward. So this report, of course, covers the fiscal year that started last July in 2023 through this past June, 2024. The report is due earlier this year than it's been in the past. Part of this is because we've had trouble meeting the IMLS deadline for our data. And I'd also like to get the statistical profile and those materials out before the end of the year. So this new date should help us do that. And I know this year it's probably a little bit bumpy with the new platform, but I think what you'll see is as you use this platform that the platform is going to be a lot easier to get that data in, to complete it. We have lots of answers pre-filled from previous years, so that takes out some of the time that you're working on those. And I will say, because this was a new platform this year, I only opened the survey like mid-ish July. But going forward, I'll be able to open it probably right when the fiscal year ends, since there's a lot less startup. So you'll get the even a little more time next year to work on it if that's something that you are hoping for. So anyway, that's the new date. And reach out if you have any other questions about that. Let's see. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to segue into our LibGuide to just show you where all of the information about this lives, including the link where you can go to the platform. Okay, so let me get that screen going. Just a moment. Let me make sure that I have it up. Okay, can everybody see my screen with the DLD homepage? Okay, hopefully. All right. Okay, so we're here, and if you go down, all of the info is going to be on the CT Public Library Statistics page. And I think yeah, Suzanne just popped in the chat this link too, so you'll have that directly. And our tab for annual report is right here. And if you scroll down a little bit, this is basically the information I was just discussing. And then this is where we go into the new format. This is the link that you'll be using to log in to the platform. We do have a short video that the folks made for me on how to log in, how to create an account, log in, and kind of a basic overview of the platform. I highly recommend giving that a view before you dive in. It'll cover some of the things I'm covering today. So that's good reinforcement, but also just kind of getting you acclimated to the new platform. We also have documentation here on the questions and definitions, the changes that I just discussed with you. And we also have a FAQ that I'm updating periodically when I get questions about the platform or questions about some of our report questions that folks seem to be kind of frequently asked, and maybe more majority of folks would like to know the answers to. So that's a living document that's just going to live on here. I will send all of this stuff to you at the end with, and after the presentation with these documents, as well as the recording for this presentation. So I will forward you those, but that's where this information lives. And this should be helpful to you to refer to later. And I think, and what I'll mention now too, just since we're here, is if you have specific questions that you want to talk through with me, I do have an appointment, ability to make a virtual appointment with me. So even after today, if you're feeling confused, I'm happy to talk you through the new platform or answer any other questions you have. Okay. So now we're going to go ahead and take a look at the platform. And I'm going to switch screens one more time here. A little bit of screen switching just because I want to first show you the login process and what it might look like more for your end of things. And then I'll show you a previous year survey just to show you some of the different features, because there are a few different features that you might need to know. So here's kind of once you've registered, which is very easy to do, you'll put in your info, your library's info. Just a quick note, it does say like town, municipal town, I forget the exact language, but that has no bearing on the type of library you are. We just classified folks by town. So if you're not a non-principal public library or you're an association library or whatever your designation, that's nothing to do with that field. We're strictly just doing that to get folks so we understand what town everybody's in. So once you get registered, you'll be able to log in here. And let me just hold on a second. Can't get to my button. Just a second here. Okay. All right. Okay. So once you've logged in, you'll see a screen similar to this. And if you click on library surveys, that will actually populate all of the surveys that exist in here for your library from 2016. So from 2016 to today's current survey is going to be in here. But so you can look at those and view those if you want to. But if you go up here, add new, you're going to go in and click on 2024 Connecticut Public Library Survey. And this is where you'll begin your survey. And so this gives you a little bit of information ahead. A lot of it I've kind of already said, but it's good to just scan through a couple of quick reminders and such. This is what I was kind of saying. The municipality, you'll also select. Your library, you'll select and go from there. Now, multiple people can have accounts for one library. So I know sometimes directors call on others to fill out the report or help them fill out the report, or different staff members contribute. So multiple people can do that, and multiple people can work on the survey, but it will tell you when someone else is working on the survey. So keep that in mind. I'm told, actually, the developers told me that there is a way to like chat one another. I haven't been able to try that because I haven't had that kind of experience filling out the report, but so anyway, so you know that there is a way to have multiple people on and working together on the report. Okay, so the views, I'm gonna go ahead and just put in my testing library and hit next. Okay, I've done this before. So anyway, I'll just go to that one. But you would only just have the one if you haven't done it before. And there's two different views of the survey. This is a detailed view. So this has each section, you can click on them to expand them, and it will just list all of your totals as you populate them in the modify screen. So you can't do any editing here, but you can do viewing. This is also the screen that's going to have the majority of the pre-calculated total sum fields. A lot of those exist in the programming section, the circulation section. I did make a change with the programmers over the last month to have the auto sum totals within the modify screen of the circulation section, and I'll show you that. But these are fields you don't need to edit, so they're not going to appear on the modify screen. So if you're going through programs and you want to just double check to see like what your total attendance is adding up to, you put in the numbers, you'll be able to go back to this screen and view that. Now, I am told there's a slight lag in you inputting numbers, submitting, and that number being updated. So if you don't see it instantaneously that your numbers are updated, just give it a minute or two, and then it will do the calc, because it's doing the calculation kind of in real time. So I guess there sometimes can be a lag. Maybe you need to refresh the screen or something like that. So keep that in mind, but those numbers will update automatically. So you're not doing those totals, you're just inputting the numbers. We have had a few bumps with our auto sum circulation stats. Please know that if you see anything weird like that, please email me. The developers have helped me edit these things. And so as long as your numbers are correct that you input, if for some reason our formulas are not behaving properly, when they update it, it's a system-wide update, so your numbers will be your total number will be updated. So as long as you've got your own correct numbers input there, then that won't be a problem. So keep that in mind when you're going through the report. There's a few different ways to download the report. This PDF, right now it's only available in PDF to see this detail view screen. With attachments, without attachments doesn't really matter at this point because we don't have any attachments on the screen, so you can just choose with attachments. I am having the folks work on an Excel download for me, and they've told me that that should be available by the end of the week. So I will communicate with directors when that feature is available. I know that would probably be the most helpful way for you to download the report. So I will email directors and let them know about that. So if you are getting that email and you need to pass it on to relevant staff, please do so. But you can't do it at this time. You can email PDFs of this detail screen to other folks. You can also look at a history of folks that have done different things on the survey. So if you have multiple people doing things on the survey, you'll be able to see that history as well. So that's basically the overview of this screen and how it kind of functions. These are the different sections. This sticks with you whether you're in the detail screen or the modify screen, and you can jump around and work on multiple sections at different times. You don't have to do it completely in order. When it's finished, you'll see that little green check mark that says it's complete. Okay. All right, I'm going to pop in now to the modify screen. So this is the screen, the view that you'll be using to edit. Oh, I might have slept a little bit. Here we go. Okay, yes. So this is the screen that I've done. So I can go save, continue later. That will pop me back out to the detail screen. If I go back into modify and I hit next, that'll get me to the next section. And like I said, you can jump around. The caveat to that is just make sure that you haven't marked the section as complete, because then and if you have marked it and there is questions to answer, it's not going to let you move forward. So just make sure you're only marking as complete when you've done those questions. So this is the screen of the modify screen, section 1, general information. I don't have this is a clean copy, so but when you look at this section, there'll be pre-populated fields. Of course, we tend to fill in I think quite a majority of the sections already pre-filled, but I did want to show you a couple features here. There's a view notes feature. So here is where you can add a note that can just remind you or other folks now or in the future working on the survey about how you got to an answer. So the way this works is you would type something in, you would add the note. Here's a list of notes. And those won't show up here, but where they will show up is if you click that note field, they'll pop up down here. So that's a good way of kind of keeping track, following along with previous years' data, so you can keep continuity and do it that way. Let's see. When you're going through the survey, we do have different places that will help give you definitions. So this might not, yeah, okay, we have a few here. So like, for example, if it's a shorter definition, you'll see a little I here that gives you just a brief explanation of the question and how best to fill out it. Same thing goes for here. I'm going to move to the next section because when we have longer definitions, like reference, for example, you'll see a little, kind of looks like a life preserve, like our, excuse me, a life, I don't know, is that a life, whatever it is, like a, say, I need some help. Click on that icon will show up at the top of the screen when we have multiple longer definitions. And then in this case, it will guide you through those particular questions that are longer. So here's 2.13 talking about public internet computers, number of sessions. Here's the Wi-Fi one that talks a little bit about that, reference transactions, et cetera, et cetera. So you can it'll just go through all of those that are available on in this particular section, and then you can hit done. I recommend also keeping just a sheet that I have on the LibGuide of all of the questions and definitions with you while you're working on this. That's probably a even better way of kind of getting definitions right away, but they're here too. So, you know, if folks missing that document or are not able to view it right away, you can do that in here as well. Let's see. In the past, I think we used a lot of NA, which is what you'll see like in previous answers. But now, if it's a numerical field, you'll need to put 0 if you don't have an answer. If you used to put NA, you'll need to put 0. If it is a text answer field, you can put NA. So just keep a lookout for that, because I know some in the past we did a lot of, oh, here's a good example, the Wi-Fi. I think we used to put NA if you didn't track it. Now you're just going to put 0 if you don't track it. I should also mention right now that a majority of our questions are required, but there are some that are not. So in that case, if you're, say, a non-principal public library or the question doesn't apply to you, example, branches, I'll talk about that in a minute, those things can be left blank. Let's see, what else do I want to mention while I'm on this screen? I already talked about the sidebar. Like I said, you can jump around and do different sections at your pace and how you want to do them. I did mention before, but I'll mention again, once you are done with this section, you can mark it as complete. And that way the little green check mark will show up here. However, just a reminder, it will not let you mark that and move forward if you have something that's not filled out. It'll tell you which question that is. So feel free. So it will prompt you. So just make sure when you're doing that when you're checking this, that you've completed everything that you're supposed to complete. And if you don't, it will tell you. So there's a double check. If you don't have a branch or a bookmobile, those are the last two sections of the report, 11 and 12. You'll hit those sections and you'll just hit mark, this section is complete, and then hit next. And you won't have any problem bypassing it. If you do have those you'll have data from previous years, and it'll ask you to fill those out. I'm gonna take a pause right here and just see if there's any questions.
Hi, Barbara. Yeah, we had one question in the chat with regards to the notes. Will we be able to see the notes when printing the report?
Oh, yeah. So good question. Yes. And I forgot to mention this other thing. So thank you for prompting me with this question. So each set, as I mentioned at the beginning, that detail view that we saw was the complete view of all the questions and answers, and that can be exported currently as a PDF and soon as an Excel document. Within each section, we have this print this survey page here. So if I click on that, it'll print these each section. Now this is a short one, so this is just the excuse me, the branch section. So it's like that. Now, the notes. That's a good question. Let me just put in a note here to just see. And if it's not a feature, then I will ask them to do that for us. But I was told that, let's see. No, it doesn't show up. Okay, so I'll make sure that that is something that they can do for us, because that would make sense to be able to download notes as well. But my guess is that the Excel document will be a bit more flexible. So thanks for bringing that up. I'll talk to them. I'll mention that in that email when I follow up with directors about downloading the Excel survey. Anything else?
No other questions in the chat right now.
Okay. All right. Yeah, thank you. So as I mentioned before, this is a work in progress. And if there's any features that you want to see or any, things that are weird or wonky, that's definitely, I want to hear them. So that notes field is a really important one. And I'll mention that. And I'm making a note right now. Okay. I'm going to swap over to another screen right now just to one with a previous year's report, so you can kind of see what it looks like filled out. And that way you can see an example of a couple other features that I want to make you aware of that are harder to see here, since this isn't a complete report. So let me just make that switch right now. Okay, let's find the screen. Here we go. Okay. So I'm just looking at a 2023 report here. I'm going to head into the modify screen. Okay. And I will go down to services. Okay. So you'll see, as I mentioned, they've got previous year numbers here. If there's something that you see that's wrong,
Stuck in the door.
if your number is incorrect from the previous year, reach out to me, let me know. Unfortunately, it won't be able to be changed in the national survey, of course, or previous statistical profiles, since those are locked and down. However, we'll change it in here, so in the future, it'll show up correctly in any future statistical reports, or when you run reports in here and that kind of thing. So if you see any errors, please do let me know so we can have that. Okay, so couple of things here. As I mentioned, automatically calculated fields are not going to show up. However, and I'll pop down, I actually should pop to the circulation. Oh, so, okay, let me just, this is because old reports are, I'm just going to put this here. Let's see. Sorry about this. I didn't realize this one had some open ones. Let's see. Ooh, count, and then I'll just put 0 for now. Okay. All right. So I'm going to head to the circulation section now and show you here. This would be a better example. So if you, like I said, those automatically calculated fields are going to show up in this section. I asked them to do that so folks could kind of see. They'll be grayed out though, so you won't be able to fill this out, but you will see the number update as you put in your totals. And like I said, there might be a bit of a lag time between you inputting and seeing that number updated, but that's how it will work. So I did have them do that for us. So this is the case where you'll see the auto sum fields both in the details screen and the modify screen, but you will not be able to edit them in the modify screen. Okay, so what we have for this year is explanation text that will pop up if if a number of yours is drastically different from the previous year. So for example, if I put in here 1,000, that is statistically different from what I put in the prior years. So it's going to ask me to describe any changes that describe any change in the data from the previous year. So you can type in your explanation. It can be brief. It can be, we added more books to the YA collection or something, you know, or we had more YA school groups come in and check out books, whatever it is. Doesn't have to be super detailed, just something to give me an idea of why the number might be higher or lower than it was in the previous year. And then once you've put in your explanation, you hit OK, it'll show up here. Now, the caveat to this is that this cannot be edited unless once you've submitted it. This is because we want to make sure there's continuity within the data that you submit and your explanation. So if you need to change your explanation, you can, but it will clear everything out. So if I hit exit, are you sure you want to discard? I say, okay, but it's cleared everything out, so I have to start over. So this just, you know, and maybe sometimes you'll put in a number and you'll be like, whoops, there's an extra 0 there. So it clears everything out. You start over. You can put in, you know, whatever number it is. If it's that one again and you need to update your explanation, then just that's what you'll do. You'll just have to write a new explanation. I'll put back in their number for now. Oh, now it's like confused because I'll just put test for now. Okay, so that's how it's going to work if you put in the number. We were having like a little bugs with this, so if you're having issues with with adding explanation text, just let me know. Give me a shout out. Send me an email. We'll take a look at it because there were some weird stuff going on. I think we solved what that was, but if we haven't, please let us know. These are really important for me. It kind of cuts down on the emails I have to send back and forth to different libraries to get some clarification. And the big reason why I do that is because they ask me for a lot of clarification on the national survey. So the more information you can give me, or the should I say the most succinct information you can give me on reasons for numbers changing or answers changing is really helpful. So I will be reviewing every report and asking questions if I need to. So, you know, if something still seems a little bit funky to me, you still might hear from me. But I think these notes are really going to cut down on a lot of that extra communication. So I really appreciate that part of it. If you submit your survey and you realize that you did something wrong or you need a number updated and it's already submitted, so when you submit it, it's locked, just reach out to me, send me an email, and I'm happy to send you the ability to update those particular questions. So no big deal, but when it is locked, it's locked. So keep that in mind when you're working on the report. And let me see if there was anything else on this screen that I wanted to show you. Let's see. I think that's the extent of all the features. And you can, just a reminder, this was the same as last year, but you can change, of course, you can change answers that are pre-populated. If I choose no now, though, it is going to ask me for an explanation. So just be aware of that, but you can always edit those fields. They're pre-populated, but definitely still have the ability to edit. Yeah, so I think that's it for this for the kind of overview of the platform. I'll say it again, this is continually a learning experience for me as much as it is for you. So communication and questions are really helpful. It gets us, you know, to a great product that I think is going to be really beneficial for all of us in terms of keeping track of this data and being able to track different trends and things over the long term. So any questions about the platform? Any kind of questions?
Yes, Barbara, there was one in the chat that came through a little while ago. It says, I can't see all of the full questions in section 1. Is there a way to expand the left window with the questions?
Oh, do you mean like you're not able to see these 3 columns? Feel free to unmute yourself if you can.
Hi, yeah, it's me.
Hey,
I'm
yeah.
seeing a very different interface from what you have.
Oh, huh.
So I'm not sure how to even, I mean, I could take a screenshot, I guess, from another computer right now.
Yeah. Do you want to
But
just,
the
yeah,
question
go
is
ahead.
cut off in the left, so I get a left-hand area where the questions are, but they're
Okay.
cut off. The wording is cut off. So
Hmm.
some of the longer questions just are cut off in the middle of a word, for instance.
Gotcha. Let's connect offline after this, Anne,
Okay,
and we can figure out maybe I'm not sure what's going on. So yeah, let's take a look
okay,
at it together.
great, thank you.
No problem. Any other questions about the platform or how it works or any of the features?
I don't see anything else in the chat right now.
Okay. If you have them, you can pop them in anytime. I'm happy to kind of go back. I'll spend a little bit of time here talking about a few of the questions that you might, the questions themselves, to give a bit of clarification. But like I said, I have that we have that FAQ page. So I'll just do a handful of them, and then we'll segue into tips and tricks and final questions from there. Did another question come in, Suzanne?
Yeah, a question literally just popped in.
I thought I saw a pop up. That's why. Yeah.
Good eyes. It says, I'm on the site. Where do I find the report?
Yeah. So let me go back. So this view I have up now is going to be a little bit different from yours because I'm an admin. But basically, once you sign in, and if this is the first time that you're signing in, there should be a button up here next to library surveys that says Add New, and then you're going to click on 2024 Connecticut Public Library Survey, and then it's going to populate the first page of the survey, and this is where you'll begin. But in your view, I think you might just see, it might be a little more sparse, but that button should still be there. And if you're having issues, again, I'm happy to talk offline. We can talk through that.
And Barbara, my apologies. I actually missed a question that
Oh,
came
yeah, sure.
a little while ago. There was a question that says, why was the decision made to roll out a new report platform and at the same time shorten the response period by 1 month?
Yeah, that's a fair question. I think the thought was, one, we really wanted to get a new platform. I can't begin to tell you how difficult it was to get the Excel, to get individual Excel sheets combined into one to create the statistical profile. So this platform was needed many years ago. It's been needed for a long time. So that was that. And then also, as I mentioned, there has been a real struggle to get in data to the national survey for years as well. So unfortunately, I completely understand that it's a lot to learn a new platform and have a shorter window. However, I do hope that mostly this platform, if you're using it or will use it, you'll see is fairly easy to navigate and use. And I also polled other states about their windows of time that they offer people for completing the report. And a lot of them actually do much shorter windows, like 6 weeks to a month, or some do a month, some do 6 weeks, some do 8 weeks. So I felt like we still were offering generally enough time in comparison to the average. So that's why I understand that it probably feels like a lot. So I sympathize, but I do think ultimately long term that this is a good move for us. And like I said, if you have concerns or anything, feel free to reach out to me. And I can confer with Dawn. We can talk about it, but I think it should be okay. I'm hoping it'll be okay. And I think ultimately the finished product is going to be really good. We're going to have a timely statistical profile, timely national data. So that's ultimately the goal. Thanks for the question.
Thank you, Barbara. And one more question just rolled in. If we have already worked on the survey earlier and return our former answers, I'm sorry. And if we have already worked on the survey earlier and return, our former answers will still be there?
Yes. You'll see at the bottom when you scroll, there's this button that says save and continue later. Anytime you want to just hit that and be done for now or move to another section, that's the button that you hit. You might have seen me before jumping in here, and that's that. And as long as you don't have that bottom box checked, you can do that. So if you're working in, but if you're done for the day or you're done, you know, working on that particular part, you can just do save and continue later, and all your answers will be in there.
And one more question just
Mhm.
came through. I used the old survey to benchmark my library to other similar library, and Excel was great to filter. Can we possible get the survey uploaded into the same Excel format as before?
Yeah, so stay tuned with that stuff. We will have some version of what that looks like. This platform though is also going to have the ability to run reports and create charts and do comparisons with exportation to Excel. So I'll talk more about that in the near future when we get that stuff rolling out. So yes, you will have that ability, and you'll have that ability in Excel. It'll be actually probably even a little bit more tailored to your own library and needs. You'll be able to download kind of your own customized reports and that kind of thing. So there'll be a lot more flexibility actually with making those kinds of things here in this platform. But we'll also provide, like we've done in the past, generalized kind of Excel charts and et cetera that folks can use as well. So yeah, stay tuned. We're gonna have a lot of different tools to make those things happen.
Great. And then one more just came in. Should we go straight to modify to update the fiscal year 2024 report, or do we need to go to detail first?
Yeah, so when you click on the survey, it will go to detail first. Let me see if I can just go back. I'll just let me just let me go down and just save and continue later. Oh, okay. Let's just say go back to library surveys. So when you open your new survey, when you get in there, I'll just pretend that that's what I've done and I've opened it. This will be the first screen you see. And yes, you won't be able to do much here. You'll want to go straight to the modify screen when you're starting out. This screen would be useful later on once you've entered in some numbers already, you know, because then you'll be able to view it kind of in total. But yeah, initially the modify screen is going to be where you head, and that's where you're going to be inputting your data.
Thanks, Barbara. That's all I see in the chat right now.
Okay, so we have about 10 minutes left. So I'll just spend a few minutes talking about a couple of questions that I know come up, and then I'm going to segue to wrapping up. So let's go through. I will kind of do it this way. So these are just specific things that you might have questions on with different questions. So the director's name needs to be who currently is your director as of when you're filling out the report. So if you have an interim director, that's the name that goes in there, even if you have an interim director October 1st, but then you have a new director October 10th, still put in the first, the one that's as of filling out the report. We're doing that same question as we do in other years that we've done in other years, where it says, tell me something your library did that you're proud of. There's enough room to put in some text here, but if you have more, or if you have photos like other years, feel free to send those to me via email and we'll put those in. A reminder that this field is really useful to us in terms of getting content for CT pages, social media. We really want to know all the, the cool stuff, as I mentioned earlier, that you're doing at your library. So that field is still there. And while it's a brief text box in this form, feel free to email me extra stuff too. In the services section, when you're doing your library cards numbers, make sure that you are not including expired cards. If it's 3 years, make sure that's what you're giving to us. Also, just a reminder that your number of borrowers shouldn't be more than your population. So just keep that in mind when you're doing that question. Let's see here. Programming, I know every year can be a bit of a bear to fill out. I hope you're using the program's spreadsheet that can be found on the annual report guide, and that will really help get these numbers in. So when you're filling them out here, it won't really let you leave things blank, so we shouldn't have that problem. But when you're in this view, you can look and see, okay, I've got on-site programs here, and now I've got attendance. So just make sure things match up in that way when you're looking at those. And a reminder that attendance is for age group that the program is intended, not age of attendees. So, if you're counting attendees for a 0 to 5 program, that includes all the caregivers that are attending the program as well. So that's the age ranges are purely the way IMLS handles programming. So that's the way that it's viewed there, but attendance is going to be anybody that attends the program. Let's see, what other, quickly, I'm just going to mention a couple of others. So as I said, you'll see sprinkled throughout a couple of new accessibility questions. For example, we're asking, and I think we asked about this in the past, but we're asking about homebound services. Where's that question? I thought it was in here. Okay, well, we are asking about homebound questions. I thought it was in that section, but I'll go down to the SGA because there's a couple in here. Actually, that's why I'm in the 2023. I apologize for that. Too many screen switching. So we are asking about homebound. We're asking about other ones. They'll be denoted as new. So when you look at that, you'll see those there. Those, like I said, are majority yes, no questions. The only one that we're doing that is going to be here. I'm going to switch real quick to the only one that we're going to be doing here. I know Middlebury did theirs already. The only one that we're going to be doing that is asking for a number is if you pull out when you're doing your budget, if you have a specific number that you use just for accessibility services. Okay, so for example, if we're here, we have assistive technology questions. They're yes, no questions in the SGAA. And then as I mentioned down here with expenditures, we do have a new question that asks about, let's see, where is it here? Asks about other materials, hardware, software. Here we go. Continuing access related expenses. If you put yes, we do have a question that asks for that number if you can pull it out. If you can't, you say no. And then just to wrap up going over these, like I said, there'll be lots more to look at in the FAQ section. I did want to mention for income, actually other operating income, we have already put in your borrow at CT reimbursement. What you will still need to put in is if you got the state aid grant, you will need to put that in the all state sources besides borrow it, and you'll please identify that as well. So that's one there where the borrow it's already input, but we'll need the number for the state aid grant. Okay, I'm just going to quickly shift my slide back to my presentation. And I'm going to just pop out my last slide. So just give me a second here while I do that. Okay. Okay. All right. So a few things just as reminders. start now. Work in chunks. You don't have to do it all at one time. Strive for consistency and accuracy year to year. Use that notes field if it's helpful. Track stats monthly if you can, that way, and track based on AR categories. Those are things that you probably already know, or maybe you're already doing if you're not new to this process. Just a reminder, if you're a library system, all your stats are getting reported in one survey. Get multiple eyes on the submission. Multiple accounts per library are allowed, as I mentioned. So if it's helpful, have different folks work on areas or review areas. If you get stuck, make sure there's a definition. Like I said, I've got a definition sheet on the LibGuide, but they're also in the survey itself. Reach out to me if you see something that's weird, it doesn't make sense. And double check your data. I know mistakes are made, continuity over years. Sometimes folks counted things differently, but do your best. You know, what our data is as good as what you give us. So just keep that in mind. So I know we're just about out of time, but if there is a question or two, I'm happy to take it. Also want to throw out there that I think Suzanne will put in the chat. There's an eval. You'll get an email as well, but Suzanne will put in the chat the eval for the webinar. Appreciate feedback. Appreciate you kind of, we're using this as a time with this new platform to talk out things that we're seeing. So so thanks everybody for that and for attending. And is there any other questions before we wrap up?
I don't see any questions, but you're getting a lot of thank yous.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you all. Thank you all for doing the report. I know it's a lot of work, so. And feel free to make an appointment with me, reach me by email. Happy to talk through things. If we need another go of the platform, feel free to reach out to me. I think, it can be a little confusing at first, but I think what you'll find is it's going to be a good tool for us. So I'm happy to get you started if you're having trouble. Okay, so I think we'll just say thanks everybody for being here. Thanks for your reports. Look forward to connecting at another time. So have a great rest of your day.